Hello, this is Heidi Holycross-Lui at the University of Northern Colorado. Today we're going to focus on Unit 10 using the present perfect to talk about the indefinite past. Present perfect can be used to talk about repeated actions that happened at unknown times in the past. A lot of the time you'll have adverbs such as twice, always, often, and many times along with the present perfect tense. We can also use it for actions that happened very recently, but we don't know when exactly they happened with the words just, recently, and lately. Indefinite past all by itself means that we don't know exactly when something happened. So if something is indefinite, we don't know much about it. Let's go ahead and look at some examples. Here are some sentences. Go ahead and read them and figure out what tense they are in. Go ahead and pause so you have some more time to do that. If you figured out that these sentences are in the present perfect, great job. You did it correctly. Looking at the sentences some more, can you figure out when these events happened? Because they're in the present perfect, we know that the events happened in the past. But can you figure out when exactly they happened? No, you can't figure it out. We only know that they happened sometime in the past. They could have happened 20 minutes ago, or they could have happened 20 years ago, or they could have happened last year. We don't know because we don't have any information about the actual time period. These sentences are in the indefinite past because we don't know when they happened exactly. Looking at these same sentences, do you think that the speaker knows when these events happened? Go ahead and pause and see if you can figure out if the speaker knows when they happened. From the sentences, we can't tell if the speaker knows when the events happened. The person may know, they may not know, but we do know that the time period is not important because they don't say it. Because these events are in the indefinite past, we don't know when they happened, so that means that obviously it's important that the thing happened, but the time that it happened isn't important. If we care about the time of an event, if it's something that's really important, we will normally use the simple past. I have two examples here. I have been to India. That's in the present perfect. It's only important that I have been there. But if you look at the second sentence, I went to India in 2008. This one is in the simple past because the time that I went there is important. Sometimes English is really tricky. We have two sentences that have similar words, but the verbs are different. In the first sentence, she's been to the supermarket. It means that she has been there at least one time in her life. The second sentence, she's gone to the supermarket, means that she's at the supermarket right now. So let's look at some negative sentences. They haven't been to Egypt, she hasn't gone to France, we haven't flown to the moon, he hasn't driven a dump truck. What tense do we use for things that did not happen at an indefinite time in the past? Go ahead and pause and figure it out. If you said that we use the present perfect tense for things that did not happen at an indefinite past, great job, you got it correct. Let's look carefully at these four sentences. If you look at them, there are two different ways to express the negative present perfect. Go ahead and pause and see if you can write down the patterns to figure it out. Here are the two patterns. The first pattern is a really common way. Subject plus have or has plus not plus the past participle. The second pattern is also really common. Subject plus have or has plus never plus past participle. The second pattern tends to give more emphasis to the fact that it did not happen. Okay, so now we're going to look more specifically at adverbs. She has just gotten back from a trip. She has just recently made a trip. She has made a trip recently. She has made several trips lately. She has been to France twice. So go ahead and pause and write down the adverbs you find in these sentences. Alright, so I've also written down the adverbs. We've used just, recently, lately, and twice. Instead of using twice, you could also use 3 times, 4 times, so on. It's just the number of times that something has happened. So let's look at these sentences some more. What do you think recently, lately, and just are expressing in these sentences? These 3 words are expressing the idea that something happened in the recent past. It's something that didn't happen very long ago, but it was still in the past. What does twice express? I'm pretty sure you already knew this, but twice expresses that the action happened 2 times. Let's talk more specifically about the placement of these adverbs. Let's look at the first sentence. Where does the word just go? Where do we put it? It goes between have or has and the past participle. Let's look at the second and third sentences. Where can you put recently? You can put it between have or has and the past participle, or you can put it at the end of the sentence. Both places are good places for it to go. Let's look at the fourth sentence. Let's see where lately goes. Where do you put it? Lately goes at the end of the sentence. Go ahead and look at the last sentence. Where does twice go? Twice also goes at the end of the sentence. So most of them can go at the end of the sentence, but just and recently can go between have or has and the past participle. Okay, so let's move on to forming questions. Have you ever climbed a mountain? Has she ever run a marathon? How often have you gone home? And how often has Jessica walked to school? Which of these questions seek to find out if something happened? The first and second sentences are trying to find out if something happened. Which questions seek to find out if something happened several times? Go ahead and look and try to figure it out. If you said that the third and fourth ones are trying to figure out if something happened several times, great job, those are the correct ones. Let's look at the first 2 sentences again. How would you answer them? What types of answers could you give to those questions? Let's answer the first one. Have you ever climbed a mountain? I could say, yes, I have, no, I haven't, or no, never. For the first 2 questions, most of the time you will add more information if you answer yes. So if you are asked, have you ever climbed a mountain? And you say yes, normally you would say yes twice. For the third and fourth questions, you can give answers that talk about how many times something has happened. So for example, how often have you gone home? You could say 20 times or every day. How often has Jessica walked to school? You could answer 3 times or twice. Let's look at other adverbs that you can use. Normally you can use these adverbs of frequency: always, often, never, frequently, infrequently. All of these adverbs of frequency go between have or has and the past participle. I've always traveled by plane. I've often traveled by plane. I know that we've spent a lot of time talking about the placement for adverbs, so I have this chart for you. The ones that go between have or has and the past participle are just, often, always, never, recently. The ones that go at the end of the sentence are lately, once or twice, 2 times, 3 times, any number of times, many times, and recently. Thank you for listening. I hope that you've learned a lot about using the present perfect with the indefinite past. This is Heidi Holycross-Lui, and I hope you have a wonderful day.